I can tell you another problem where when I got there, they had had this flood twice already, which had devastated the property. The whole place had to be gutted and refurbished, new carpets, new kitchen units, everything, because you can imagine this one was built at the bottom of a hill, and there was a huge hill right up there, and then it flattened off a bit into fields. These fields were made of clay, you know, like 300 millimeters of topsoil and then a layer of clay. So the water couldn't get through the ground. So during heavy rainfall, it used to cascade off the fields, and then there was a small made up barrier, but often it breached that barrier. And when it did, it came down in torrents. And of course, the people living in the house weren't responsible in their view for the little man-made barrier and the ditches that weren't cleaned out, say. So everything's all right. But I think you should be proactive. I think we should be checking these things and get on well with the farmer or get on well with the authorities. Well, anyway, what used to happen, what did happen twice before I got there, the water would come down in torrents down the hill, and then it would come against this house. And of course, there was little inadequate drains there to soak the stuff away, which is meant for a normal rainfall or a heavy rainfall, but not this off the fields. And of course, the only way you could go is through the house again. And of course, it just went up through the toilets, in through the windows, everywhere. And of course, it brought with it the clay and the muck and the leaves and the horse manure and whatever. That all came into the property and then out the other side. But it left, you can imagine, devastating stuff inside the house. Now, when I got there, it was completely gutted. There was redoing some of the floors, because the floors had broken up and cracked because of the water getting underneath and pushing up. So I said to the lady, well, why don't we do what they should have done in the beginning? We'll put in a large bore pipe right under the building. She was horrified. She was absolutely horrified. But she slowly come to terms with it and agreed it's time now to put this right. But she says, what are we going to do? You know, we've got to cross that big heavy main road, which there was a main road right in front of the property. We're going to cross that main road. Will they allow this? And then there's the like an incline at the back. After the main road, there was a slight incline, or quite a heavy incline. And who would mind? Who owns that ground? Well, I said, leave that to me. I'll soon sort these things out. And with that, I went and saw the authorities. I went and saw the people who owned the ditch, who owned the incline. And after a short while, took several weeks before I negotiated all these things. And it wasn't a lot of money. It was just being civil and getting on with people. And eventually, it was all agreed. And of course, we did the job. We put a big roadside gully in her backyard, and we brought this great big pipe underneath the house by digging a trench right through the house, because we could do that because all the carpets was up and everything was missing from the house because of the last flood. And this lady had my advice this time. And then we crossed the main road, which there was the highway department, it was, you know, licenses and whatever, which we are licensed to do. And then there was the proper construction, how it discharges into the incline or the ditch. And it was all done. And that house is happy ever after. Well, I've crossed many a road which has been refused in the past. But it's how you talk to the authorities. It's if you can convince them that you are not going to disrupt the traffic, if you can convince them that you can do it by, say, directional boring, by boring a hole underneath the road and coming up the other side. So in other words, there's no disturbance to them. Well, they see that as a positive. But what I'd like to say to you now is, if you've got a challenge or a problem, why don't you let an expert deal with it? I'm an expert. Let me deal with it. Let me find a solution for you. Don't wait for the catastrophe. Don't wait for the insurance to say we're not going to insure you anymore. Let's us take responsibility. Let's us think of something or a plan of action, a positive plan of action that will solve these problems. This is Jerry. Bye for now.